We're starting the alcohol and fat loss series. We've got part one, the truth, does alcohol ruin fat loss? If you are anything like my clients, first of all, I work with typically executives to help them lose stubborn body weight, often just the last 10 to 30 pounds, and regain or retain lost muscle mass while optimizing your energy. So if that's you, maybe you encounter alcohol pretty frequently, whether it's taking your clients out to business dinners or you take your team out to eat. Or even just for social events on weekends. And if you're someone who is wanting to get into better shape and better health, it's important to know, first of all, a little bit about it, what it does to your body when you drink it, so that you can decide if it's something that makes sense to have in your routine week or not. And also just some strategies. I'm going to share in part two very detailed strategies on how I help my clients moderate their drinking so that it doesn't ruin all their progress with getting into better shape. So today we're going to cover a couple questions you may have. First of all, how can you lose body fat and still drink? Secondly, what happens to the fat burning process when you do drink? Also, the negative butterfly effects of drinking alcohol. A lot of times, it's not even just the direct impact of alcohol on your body when you drink it, but what happens after you drink that can stall your fitness progress. And then also, we're going to cover, again, I'm going to briefly touch on it today. I'll cover it deeper in part two, but I'll give you guys a protocol to diminish the negative effects of alcohol so you can still make progress towards your goals, even if you drink here or there. Now, before we start, I also want to address, there is a difference between someone who just needs a strategy to help moderate their drinking a little bit. A lot of times it just comes down to not having awareness around it or not having some kind of strategy to follow when you do drink, versus someone who struggles with the addiction of alcohol. If you are, for example, if I ask you to chop your drinking down to 2 nights per week, 4 drinks per week, and you can do that no problem after, trying for a week or two, these strategies will help you. The stuff I'm going to cover. If you are unable to regulate how much you drink when you drink or how often you drink, that would be more on the addiction side of things. And that's absolutely something that is worth tackling head on. That would require a different kind of support, but certainly worth doing. And it's something you're going to have to do if you want to see everything else you do with health and fitness pay off in the long run. So just want to be clear on that. Anyway, if you are someone who is able to moderate it and you're looking for strategies and a little bit more info on, again, what does alcohol do when you drink it? This is what we're going to dive into today. So first question, can you lose fat and drink? This is not like many things in the health and fitness world. The truth is it's not a yes or no answer. The more important thing is that you get educated on exactly what happens so that you can make a decision for yourself how often you drink, right? Now, in general, I think, and this is what I think right now, maybe this will change in a year or two, but right now I would suggest that you keep your drinking to 2 nights per week, 4 drinks per week max. I think that is healthy. I think that gives you enough flexibility to where if you do have an event where there's alcohol and you want to be able to enjoy a drink or two, you have that leeway. So you're not following some black and white rules list that typically does not work well for long-term adherence. So that's something I would start off with in general. And also, if you are losing weight and your weight loss stalls out and you're now losing weight slower than 1 pound per week and you are eating correctly and training strategically, and what that means is another discussion for another time. But let's say you are doing everything correctly and it's really not about cutting out calories. It's not about working out harder. And you want to speed up your rate of loss, then I would suggest just cutting it out altogether, at least for a few weeks so that your weight loss speeds up again. Next question is, what happens to the fat burning process when you drink, right? Like what does your body do with that alcohol? And technically, alcohol registers as more of a poison or a toxin. So when you drink, your body can handle it if you have a healthy body, but basically all of your body's focus goes to detoxing from that alcohol, primarily through your liver. Its primary goal is to get rid of it. And so you're not going to be burning body fat. You're not going to be building or storing lean muscle. Not a whole lot else is going to be happening other than just your body focusing on getting the alcohol out. Okay. So when people say empty calories, like what does that really mean? Well, alcohol doesn't contribute to a whole lot in terms of getting into better shape or better health. When we talk about calories from fats, for example, healthy fats really contribute to the health of your hormones. If we're talking about carbs, and assuming you're someone who is not in full-blown keto, your body will use carbs for energy. When it comes to protein, if you're eating, calories from protein, those contribute to building lean muscle or suppressing your hunger, right? There is a use for all of those calories your body does something productive with those things. Not so with alcohol. Okay. Obviously, there's an effect of calories from alcohol. Alcohol has an effect on you, but in terms of getting into better shape, it's not going to do a whole lot. And it is important that you recognize alcohol, whether it is a high sugar mixed drink or just straight liquor, alcohol carries calories with it. And that's one of the big things that can contribute to gaining weight from drinking is maybe you're even tracking your food, but you're not accounting for the alcohol that you're drinking, but your body is. Okay. So that's something to definitely be aware of. Now, like I mentioned earlier, sometimes the biggest negative side effects from alcohol is because of what's going on either when you're drinking or after you drink. So, a few of those negative downsides could be drinking not just alcohol, but a lot of sugar with the alcohol in the form of mixed drinks. And obviously, sugar is not only just calories, but it's going to give you big blood sugar spikes, and that can affect things either that night or the next day. In particular, sleep. When you drink, sleep is definitely affected by alcohol. First of all, people typically get less sleep when they drink, and the sleep that you do get is poorer quality. So that is not good for fat loss. It's also not good for muscle, not good for recovery if you're someone who is training, and also tends to dysregulate your blood sugar. Okay. And not only dysregulate your blood sugar that night, but also the next day. So if you do drink and you notice cravings the next day, often that is from dysregulated blood sugar. Okay. They've done a lot of studies, and first of all, either with drinking or just lacking sleep or getting poor quality of sleep, people tend to crave more food. They tend to eat more food when they do eat. And also the things that they're craving are very calorie dense. So that's why, if you've ever noticed, when you drink the next day, often you crave really greasy, high calorie processed foods. That's often from blood sugar, which is from alcohol. Okay. And also, last thing is you are less likely to stay on top of your training schedule. If you had a workout plan for the next day, drank a lot the night before, you don't feel so good, you'd be more likely to skip out on workouts. Okay. Also, that can be cumulative. If you're in a season of drinking more, you're probably going to be working out less, also consuming more calories from alcohol. And you can see how that can kind of be a snowball effect of something that could create weight gain. Now, touching briefly on how to diminish the negative side effects, something you want to focus on that night is drinking water, obviously staying hydrated. Something else you could add to your routine is milk thistle, and this is a supplement that would help your liver detox a bit from the alcohol. The next day, you want to focus on high protein and high fiber foods. I would suggest, if you are someone who is tracking your food, which is something you definitely need to be doing if you want to be making progress towards your goals and you want to know what's going on, I would suggest tracking a high protein, high fiber meal the next morning, even the day before. Do it in advance so that when you do wake up, even if you're craving greasy processed foods, you've got a good meal laid out and you know what to do. Okay, so you can adhere to that. When you're drinking, and again, this is what I'm going to dive a lot deeper in with part 2, you need a protocol for navigating the alcohol. You need some strategies to help slow down your rate of drinking without feeling awkward about it. A lot of times social drinking just comes down to people not wanting to be awkward and refuse drinks. And there are definitely methods to where you can still be sipping on something that's maybe not alcohol to help you feel a little bit more comfortable, still have something in your hand to sip on, which is totally normal in those social settings, without drinking, alcoholic drinks back to back to back. So a lot of that protocol has to do with drink spacing. And also knowing how to choose. You should be going for low calorie, low sugar drinks. And again, sometimes that is just knowing a little bit more about what's in the drinks you're ordering. And I'm going to share more on that in part 2. Okay. If you either want the notes that I just covered for all of this, or someone who would appreciate these notes, just drop the word notes in the comment section below. I see comments before I check my inbox, so that's a faster way to get it. Drop notes in the comments below and I will get those to you. Also, if you are an executive and you're wanting to, get in control of your health and your fitness, even in the context of a busy schedule, definitely reach out and we'll chat more about it. See you guys again.